Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. It is Friday, the Lashawan Qadash class, where we get into our language, right? Getting back to basics, understanding not only what we speak, but why we speak, all right? So we're going to start off this class like we start off every class with the Hebrew alphabet. If you would, repeat after me. Ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, P, to Z, Qua, R, Sh, and the. All right, guys, we're going to pass it back to the board. Zoom out a little bit. All right. So, because of our esteemed leader, Commanding General YAHANNA, who passed the order down to General Q, who also passed the order down to Captain Ash, we're going to get back to basics with the conversational Hebrew and also tapping into things where we are kind of in Genesis. So you can kind of see common words that you'll see over and over again, so she'll get kind of used to it, right? So we're going to start off with Genesis Genesis 3 and 13, right? Okay. What we have here, all right, I didn't write it in the, let me put this above it, so I can have some room to work. Genesis 3 and 13. Alright. Didn't write it in the paleo. Let's see. Alright. Okay. So, give you the phonetics real quick. Man, I appreciate you, brother. So the phrase that we're going to be breaking down today is YAHANNA, right? So of course we're going to break down what it means, right? But we're going to get into a little bit more detailed information dealing with it, okay? All right. So we have our popular prefix and suffix that we keep it up on the board at all times, right? The reason why we keep these things up on the board at all times is because this will help you conjugate a word. Not only will it help you conjugate a word, but it will help you establish what the root word is, right? So in this first word that we have here, we have YAHANNA. Now, the reason why understanding prefixes and suffixes is so important is because if you were to just type in YAHANNA in your lexicon, in your Strong's Concordance, and two-letter lookup, you would get nothing. Nothing would come up because when you go to your Strong's Concordance, when you go to your lexicon, when you go to two-letter lookup, all they are giving you is the root word, right? So let's figure out how we can establish the root word, right? The first thing that we do is we ask ourselves, are there any prefixes, right? So we look at our board right here, list of prefixes that we have right here, all right? So The first word is YAHANNA, right? I can tell you off top, there are two prefixes. Why are there two prefixes? Because we're dealing with the qual stem, right? So with the qual stem, when a phrase or a stanza or a sentence starts off, 9 times out of 10, it's going to begin with wa-ya, right? Wa-ya, all right? Well, oftentimes, now, what the hell does wa-ya mean, all right? So let's look at the board. What does wa-ya mean as a prefix? Wa means and ya means he, right? So we have wa as a prefix, that means and we have ya, which means he, right? So now what's left is amar, right? Okay, so now we have established the root word, all right? So we're going to look up the root word together. So if you have a Strong's Concordance, you want to look that up. If you have a English to Hebrew dictionary or a Hebrew to English dictionary, you want to look this up. But for time's sake, I'm going to go to twoletterlookup.com. All right, let's go there together. Twoletterlookup.com. And we're going to type in the word amar. All right. So when you type up the word amar, all right, it gives us a Strong's Concordance number. All right. So that Strong's Concordance number, I'm going to write it above amar, which is H 5 5. Let me write a little bit bigger than that so you guys can see it online. I'll write it over here off to the side. So that's H 5 5 9. All right, and amar means to say, right? Okay, so now we know the first part of the stanza, right? And he to say, right? Or and he said. All right, okay. Now this word amar, you're gonna see over and over and over again, right? You're gonna see this stanza, Warrior Amar, and he said, right? You're gonna see it over and over and over again, right? Like whenever it's talking about, like, so you'll see it. It's just gonna be just like in English, right? At the beginning of the sentence, you'll have the subject, right? The subject will probably be like Moses, Abraham. Well, we're in Genesis, right? So right now, you're going to see this over and over in Genesis 1:1, right? And he said, let there be light. And he said, let the waters separate the waters from the waters. You're going to see Waya Amar over and over and over and over again, right? Okay? So this is the action, right? So we got to find out what the subject is, right? The subject is Yahweh, right? What is Yahweh? All right. Anybody know what Yahweh? I mean, we should all know what Yahweh means. Anybody want to take a stab at what Yahweh means? Sweetheart, you know what Yahweh means? You should know what Yahweh means. Yagrum, what is Yahweh?
Most High.
It is the name of the Most High, right? So this, wrong color. All right. It is the name of the Most High, but when you look in the Bible, you will see the word Lord, right? So every time you see the word Lord, capital L-O-R-D, or capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, yeah, it is in reference to Yahweh, the Most High, right? So this is Waya Amar Yahweh, right? in this case, right, it's saying, and the Lord said, right? When you put it together, when you see this in Genesis 3:13, it's saying, and the Lord said, okay? All right? So when you see Waya and he, the he that it is referring to, it is referring to the Lord, the Most High God. All right? So now we're going to get a little bit more intimate with this, breaking this down, so you can understand and get the qual stem, right? Whenever you see qual stem deals with paradigm, right? First, second, third person, right? But whenever at the beginning of a stanza of a sentence, a statement, a paragraph, a chapter, and you see waya, you are dealing with the qual stem. This is the most common stem that is in the Torah and Tanakh. Okay? So you need to get very familiar with this. After this one, the most common one is the paleo stem, right? But we're going to deal with this for right now. All right? So let's go to the book. All right, let me draw my little chart. All right, boo-boo. All right, I call this the breakdown chart. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, okay. So this is what I call the breakdown feature, right? So we've established that waya lets us know that we're dealing with the squall stem, right? So the root word that we have is amar. Okay? So we've established that we're dealing with the qual stem. All right? Q. All right? All right? So now, what form, how do we know that it's the qual stem, right? Because we've established that because of the prefix. All right? So the form that we're dealing with right now, dealing with the qual stem, is prefix. All right? So now, I'm going to ask a very important question. I mean, I know you may be like, off the top of the dog, I didn't know that we're going back to grade school, right? So if I say and he, what person are we dealing with? Are we dealing with first person? Are we dealing with second person? Are we dealing with third person? All right, so we know first person is I. All right, when I say I or me, right, that's first person. All right, second person is, of course, when I say you, right, because I am talking to you, right? But in this case, I'm saying, and he said, right? So when I say he, what person could that possibly be? Second? Nope, not second. If I say you, I am talking to you, right? So when I say, so if me and you are talking and I say him over there, so I is just me. Third, 100. Third person. All right? So this is extremely important. All right? Now, all right? Of course, we got the G, right? What is the G for? G is for gender, right? What gender do we see up here on the board in this statement? Anybody want to help me out? Huh? Male, right? So we have masculine, M for male or masculine. All right. Next, we have number, right? Is this singular or plural? We're talking about he. Is that singular or plural? Singular, SG. All right, it is singular. Well, I did everything caps, so let me do a capital G. Boom. All right, that's ugly as hell. That looked like a treble clip. All right. Okay. All right, and special feature, we don't really got to worry about that right now. All right? So, whenever you look at any word, all right, in the Bible, okay, when you're reading the Torah or the Tanakh, when you look it up, it doesn't come immediately up, that means that there's either a prefix or a suffix. The best search tool that you can possibly use as a search engine, right, as of right now digitally would be two-letter lookup to help you with that, right? So if you were to type in YAHANNA, and we're talking about from the Hebrew letter standpoint, and I advise everyone to save that website in your bookmark. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as like most frequently gone to sites, I would just have that as a bookmark saved either on your phone, on your laptop, when you're doing your studies, when you're trying to go in deep, do deep dives to look up words, all right? So if you were to go on two-letter lookup and type up YAHANNA, you're going to get nothing. Nothing is going to come up, right? This is why it's so important to do this right here, whether you make your own column to break it down, right? Or if you're able to physically, visually do it yourself, right? So once you type it in and nothing comes up, you're like, wait a minute. You immediately know right then and there that there is obviously probably a prefix or a suffix or a conjugation of the word dealing with some type of stem form, right? So right now, we're dealing with the qual stem, all right? So, let me pull out my notes a little bit real quick so we can go in a little deeper with the qual stem. All right, so what is a qual stem? All right, a qual stem is the simplest, I'm going to abbreviate, form of the verb. All right? So when you're dealing with any stem, it's dealing with conjugation of the verb. All right? Never the subject. Right? It's always going to be a conjugation on the verb, and 9 times out of 10, it is going to lead off the sentence. All right? So in this case, YAHANNA Yahweh, right? Yagrum, if you could you pull Genesis 3 and 13 for me?
Hold on, sir. This is the book of Genesis. Let me grab my.
I got you.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord God said unto the woman,
And the what?
and the Lord God said unto the woman,
Right? So that part where it says, and the Lord God said, that is Waya Amar Yahweh. All right? Now, what we're going to get into, we're going to get into conjugation of Amar dealing with the fall stem and breaking it down first, second, third person. Because Amar, this is a word that you're going to see over and over and over and over, especially in the first 3 chapters of Genesis. All right? Should have some room to do it right here. Okay? So, all right? So, and then also, what am I going to put under here in parentheses for qual stem is imperfect paradigm. All right? Okay, so now, all right, so we know right here we have the root word, amar, okay? So we're going to get into different conjugations of the word amar, all right? So the first one we're going to do is, I'm going to do little abbreviations on the side here. So we already know that M, all right, we know that is masculine. I put an S here, right? Instead of SG, we know that's singular. All right, so we know that that is as is, all right, is going to be what we have above, Slakia. Yeah, Amar. All right. Boom. All right. Where's my other markers at? Actually, I should leave it this way. Where is the blue? Oh, it's right here. So we have Yah, Amar. All right. So as we've established already here, all right, we have a prefix, right? The prefix is giving us the understanding that it's masculine, he. All right, and we have said. All right. The next conjugation that we're going to do, and this is third person. All right, the next one we're going to do is the feminine singular third person. All right, so the only thing that I'm going to do here, I'm going to drop down this double sign right here. Just means I'm dropping down the root word. All right, and we are changing the prefix. All right, so the prefix is going to be the Amar. All right. In this situation, all right, it's going to be she said. All right. Dealing with the verb in the qual stem. All right. The next one we're going to do is masculine singular second person. All right. All right, and in this case, all right, it's going to be for masculine and feminine second person. It's going to be the same thing, right? So, I'll just do this. It's the same thing down. All right. So now I know you're gonna ask yourself, well, how the hell is it the same thing? All right. And I'm gonna show you how. All right. So, all right, it's all about what precedes the word. All right. So I'm going to give you an example, all right? How do we say he in Hebrew? Anybody? Huh? No, not as a prefix, like the word he. I'll give you a hint. Like we're going back to Anya, Nawa'a, Anak Nawa. So what would be he in Hebrew? Hawa'a. All right. So for this beginning of the sentence, right, it would start off with Amar. All right? Hawa Amar. He said. All right? Okay? So if he is Hawa, what is she? It's in the same vein. It rhymes with Hawa. Yeah. All right. Amar. Right? Okay? So Haya'ah Amar is how we know that it is saying she said. All right, let me move this up a little bit. All right, and in the case of both of these right here, for masculine singular second person and feminine singular second person, right? How do you say you in Hebrew? Atha. All right. All right. All right. Now, the way we know if it's masculine or masculine or feminine singular second person is when it's in reference to who we're talking to, right? So, uh, so if I'm talking to my wife Monica and I say Atha Thawamar, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm saying you said, right? Clearly the subject matter is feminine second singular second person. But if I'm talking to your grum and I say tha amar saying you said, right? Clearly it is going to be masculine singular second person, right? The subject always dictates gender, right? Um, uh, Number, whether it's singular or plural, right? Because if I'm talking about a group, I would start off by saying anak nawab, right? Which means our, they, or them, right? And then it also lets you know if we're dealing with first, second, or third person, right? Okay? Now, I'm glad I said that, right? So now what would be the first person of this word, right? It would simply be, put, singular first person, right? It's just going to simply be we're dealing with the first person singular, it's just going to be simply the root word, amar, right? Why? Because there's no need for a conjugation because it's me talking, right? Okay, so we're going to say anya, all right? At the beginning, what does anya mean? Anya is I in Hebrew, all right? Anya amar, I said, right? So there's no need for a conjugation as a prefix, right? Because we're breaking it down. He and she is third person, you is second person. Then we take them all away because it's me talking. There's no need for me to add anything to the word because it's me. The only time you add something to the word is when you're making reference to someone else. You're adding someone else in the conversation. Just think of it like that. When you add someone else into the conversation, you add something else to the word to conjugate it. Right? So if I'm saying he, I'm going to add a he. In our prefixes, it's Yah. Right? If I'm going to add a she, it's going to be the. Right? Now, on the prefix side, all right, the means thou, thee, or you, which is in reference to second person. The only time we know that it's third person is when Hayah is at the front of it, right? So the subject is going to always give credence, right, to the conjugation of the verb. And right now, we're dealing with the simplest form of the verb, right? So he said, she said, you said, I said, right? Okay? So, in this situation in Genesis 3 and 13, right, we're talking about someone outside of us. We're talking about the Most High God. So that is why it is a he here, right? So we don't have Hawa there because we have the subject. We have the person's name. We have Yahweh, right? If I had Waya Amar Manakah, it would be Watha Amar Manakah, right? Which would be and Manakah said, right? We would have the feminine conjugation on the word Amar, right? If I said dealing with let's see. It would just simply be, if I'm dealing with second person, it would just be the. You know what I'm saying? I would say a more, right? And you said, right? Now, next class, right? I believe you're doing the next class, or is Yabakan teaching the next class? All right, no sweat. So next week when Yabakan is teaching the next class, he's going to pick up right here, right? So we're going to get into future tense of the qual stem, right? So right now, this is kind of like just past tense. So remember, there's past, present, and future, right? And because of that, there are different conjugations when you do each one, right? So that's why we did something extremely simple, right? We use one verb, amar, that you're going to see over and over and over again, right? Okay? It is an action that you're going to see over and over again because in Genesis, it's always someone saying something or speaking something into existence dealing with the angels or the Most High God, right? And another word that you're going to see over and over again, especially for the first 3 chapters, you're going to see Yahweh. You're going to see Yahweh and you're going to see Elohim, right? You're going to see the Lord and you're going to see God, right? When you see God, that's Elohim. When you see Lord, it is the Most High God, Yahweh, right? So we're going to stop here. We're going to pick up here next week, and Yabakan is going to continue on with what we're talking about, dealing with future tense, dealing with the past stem, and we're going to use some more words in the next 49 verses in the book of Genesis that they're going to be reading in the Sabbath service. So what we're doing here, through the awesome guidance of Commanding General YAHANNA and the structure that General Q is giving us, and the edict that Captain Captain Osh, thank you. Captain Osh is giving us. We're trying to get you prepared. So when you come into Sabbath service and you hear words, you hear conjugation of words, even if you don't know the conjugation, you be like, I know what Amar means. I know what Debar means. I know what halak means, right? Because you're going to hear a word over and over again. You're going to hear said over and over again. You're going to hear journey. You're going to hear the word amataza over and over again, which is the earth. Huh? Arataza. What did I say? I said amataza. Salaki. Right. Salaki. Speaking of someone that is no longer here. Right. Exactly. You're going to hear arataza over and over again, especially in Genesis 1. They just went over Genesis 1, the first 49 verses, Orataza, right, which means earth or land, right? The next thing that you're going to hear, another word that I'm going to have him use over and over again is Ayash and Ayasha, which is for a man and for a woman. If I'm not mistaken, that's what's going to be taking place in the second chapter and also the third chapter, what you brought up here, all right? It is very, 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 very important for you to get these ideals and basic concepts. That's why we're taking it slow, and we're only doing 2 words at a time, which is the subject and the action that is going to be taking place in majority of each of these chapters that you guys are going to be reading, right? So we appreciate your time. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah Brakatham. To the brothers and to the sisters, Shalom, Yahweh Shamar Elathan, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai. And with that, we're gone. I'm going to leave this up for a second and give you guys an opportunity to screenshot before I close out the class. And with that, Shalom.